Hey, welcome back, modelers. So today I've got a special video for you. One that I got the idea from Dave's Models Workshop. He did this a couple of years ago, but it is the 10 Commandments of model building, and more so 10 Commandments of making the hobby enjoyable. And so I will give you my take on it and what my 10 Commandments are, I guess you could say. And here we go. Alright, so number 1. Guys, this is a hobby. Have fun with it. It should be enjoyable. When we do this, this is what we do after work to just relax from our daily labors or going through what's going on throughout the rest of our life. It should be our escape from the reality. And so we should just be having fun with it. That should be number 1 out of all of this, is to just have fun and just trying out things. The good thing with model building is this type of hobby doesn't result in bodily harm. I mean, technically, I've had a few accidents with an X-Acto knife, but there's no bodily harm that can happen with this. So the number 1 thing is very much, it's a hobby. It doesn't have to be super serious. All right, number 2, enjoy the community. Right? Yes, this is a hobby, and most hobbies can be more enjoyable when you have that sense of community with it. So either we're looking at Facebook or IPMS groups or just random people that you meet online, random YouTube people, have that sense of community and share your passion with others. Number 3 is going to be proper tools make light work, or whatever the saying is. But earlier on, I was trying to find all sorts of ways to just save money and a little different perspective that I had back then. And yeah, are there a lot of different ways to save money on it? Can I, use blue tack painter's tape? Sure. There's all sorts of different ways where you can technically save money, but having the proper tool is going to make things so much more enjoyable. Another example was like these infinity sticks I love, and so they're going to make sanding a lot easier work than getting something that's just a basic block of sandpaper or going in and using like nail files and things like that. So proper tools are going to make things a lot easier. Another thing is going to be good airbrushes, getting into good sprue cutters. All of those are going to make everything much more enjoyable because things are easier with the right tools. Number 4, get out of your comfort zone. Try something weird. So one example of that is these, cutesy toon character type planes. Definitely not something that is your standard modeling subject, but very, very fun. Or maybe instead of making a bomber or airplane that's nice and fresh out of the factory, try to work on one that's downright falling apart out in the middle of a field, or has just seen better days. So have fun, try to experiment with something in a different subject. If you are mainly an aircraft modeler, try building some figures. If you're armor, try aircraft, or try sci-fi. There's a whole bunch of different ways to experience the hobby, and each of them have their different twist to it. And what you can do is you can take what you've learned from that particular genre over to your main field of study. All right, number 5. This one is very, very important, and this is one thing that I see people just completely upend and leave the hobby in fits of fury, basically, is comparing yourself to others in an unhealthy way, right? So either you are brand new to the hobby and you're trying to compare yourself to the Leonardo da Vinci of model building. It's probably not very good, right? Now, what can be healthy is if you're comparing yourself to Leonardo da Vinci of modeling, right? Same thing. But you're in the perspective of, ooh, I kind of like that technique. Let me learn how more to do that technique, right? But not just being like, my goodness, mine looks like crap. Well, you have to realize at some point Leonardo da Vinci was doing finger painting, right? So you got to start somewhere. So make sure that you're comparing yourself to others in a constructive way, not beating yourself up over not being able to be at their level. Okay, number 6 goes a little bit along with what we just had and previously with the community, but be open to constructive criticism. Of course, I said constructive criticism because there's certain people in the industry, on Facebook and all sorts of different places, that are so-called trolls and they just want to hate. And that is what makes them happy in life, I guess. For those people, of course, yeah, you have my permission to ignore. But when it comes to if they're giving good constructive criticism, take it, learn with it. Pretty much any criticism, even if they are not really an expert, their opinion still can matter, right? And there's a different video that I have where I talk specifically about handling critique and receiving critique. So for more of that, just go to that video. All right, number 7, use thy references. So there's 2 parts to it. For one, this is one of my favorite books. And when you're going through weathering, accuracy, whatever you're trying to attain, one of the biggest pleasures with the hobby is when you have a picture just like this and you seek to replicate this exact bird in this exact condition, and you get pretty dang close. That is just one of the best pleasures of being able to be in the hobby, to replicate that in minor scale. The other thing that is very important with references that I've found with different things, with maybe like contests, is there's some people out there that would say, oh, that would never, or it would never look like that. Gunshot holes don't look like that, or whatever it may come down to. And you can be like, oh, really? Well, this is a photograph of said dirty tire, where it is dirty, or where the bullet holes, look like that when they get impacted. And so you can have that and prove them wrong, which is also very, very fun. Number 8. Expensive kits are that way for a reason. Well, generally speaking, there are some kits out there that paid a good amount and just, I look back and it was just about a waste. But generally speaking, big model companies like Tamiya that have just amazing parts that just fit together without any glue and just are fantastic. Yeah, they are expensive, but man, when you have a kit that just falls together and you don't have a lot of drama with it, it's going to be great. Yeah, that cheap kit is maybe going to be $10 might be really cheap, and maybe something you got off like a garage sale or something. Yeah, can you have some fun with it? But you know what? Throughout the evening, there's going to be a lot of drama. And if I've learned one thing from The Bachelor, you don't want to have a night full of drama, right? So very much go with a good kit. If you think about how many hours that you're going to spend on that kit, if it's a 40-hour build and you spent $100, that's a pretty good return. So keep that in perspective versus how much hair you're going to pull out for that $10 kit. And also, don't let those people say, well, you must build a cheap kit so you can learn the basic modeling skills. Those people are generally just, sadists or something like that. I don't understand that concept. So, c'est la vie. You can get those basic modeling skills from a good kit. Anyway. Number 9. Fix thy... With anything that you're building, one thing that I've noticed is if there's something that I built on it and there's just like a little seam line, and if it's something where I'm like, oh, you know what, I won't notice it, I don't care, it's not something I'm going to look at or whatever, and I just want to get through the build, well, yeah, I can get through the build and I can move on, but patience is a great virtue in this. And I guarantee when you come back to that build and you look at everything in it, that seam line, the decal silver, whatever that little problem is, it's something that's going to stick out to you, and for some people it's going to keep them up at night. So very much take your time, fix those problems. If you go through and you spend the extra time fixing all the mistakes, making sure everything looks to your level of quality that you're looking for, in the end, the reward is going to be much, much well worth it, right? All right, number 10. Last, but certainly not least, go to competitions. Now, I'm not saying thou shalt enter every model that thy have built into thy competitions. Or no. What I'm saying is definitely just go to them. They're very fun. You can, like I said with the previous video that we had, that you can get a few deals, but very much if you want to go in and enter into the competitions, you can get a lot of different critiquing, some good feedback from everything that's going on. So I'm not saying you have to enter into the competition, no, but you definitely want to go to these competitions, these different events. There's a lot that you can learn, a lot of people you can talk to, so we come back to the community aspect of it, and sometimes you just want a good deal, and so that can be a big advantage of going to those competitions. All right, and so those are my 10. Maybe sometime down the road I'm going to reevaluate some of these, but I think that's a pretty good list. If there's something in there that you disagree with, by all means put it into the comments. Make sure that you share this with others if you thought it was entertaining at least, or if you learned a few things, or if you need to send it to a certain person, go, dude, you need to follow rule number 5. I mean, serious. So just spread that love out there. One thing that I do know is that if you do follow these 10 commandments of the scale modeling industry, building, hobby, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is that we are doing with our extra time, I can just about guarantee that it will be more enjoyable for you. Until next time.